I'm good.
Morning is broken, Jonathan, and it is Thursday, October 29th, and we're coming at you. Yeah, I don't know what, I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know anything anymore.
There's no saint today.
There's saint. There's, we're kind of just hanging here in this in-between time with just days before the election. Every one of us, I don't care who you are, want this over so that we can. Isn't it amazing how all of life just kind of focuses on this one thing, and how much energy and money and time and all of the stuff that goes into it. If I see one more commercial for a political ad or for something, or if I get one more postcard mailing in my mailbox, or if people keep texting me, "Hi, this is so-and-so from whatever coalition. Are you going to vote? Would you mind taking a survey? Would you do?" How do people get my numbers?
Oh
my gosh.
Oh, so bad you get them. I get text messages from people in Arizona, Colorado. It doesn't matter.
It's the phone.
It's like, we're on the verge of losing the state. I don't know who you are.
I'm not in Arizona. And if you're in Arizona, well, then these phone messages are missing you. And they're
go vote and do the right thing.
Holy moly.
At least there's like a college football to distract a little bit. Baseball just ended.
I had no idea that there was a World Series going on.
Well,
and this is my conspiracy that I think there's actually like 3 World Series every year. Because it seems like every time I turn around, it's like, oh my gosh, there's another World Series? Someone just won the World Series? Who knew?
It's been approximately 12 months.
It approximately, apparently, but it seems like we just had a World Series. And then there's this other one. And I didn't know anything about it. And now a couple days have passed, and, it's over, gone, in the past, and we're probably ready to start the next one. I know, I'm just so... Oh, my goodness.
So you're just over it.
I'm over everything. I'm over everything. Let's call it a day. Have a good day, everybody. Ciao, ciao. Oh. Yeah, so, I think a lot of people spend a lot of energy. I read an article recently that was talking about how people today or families and friends have disowned one another because of politics and because of their political leanings and that it's like, I just told my friend I could never speak to him again and blocked him and deleted all my contacts with him and this, that, and the other thing, and because it's just, I don't see how the two of us can coexist in the same. I have no respect for him. I mean, that's the thing, that respect is so woven into, I can't respect you.
It's really sad. I mean, I've unfollowed a lot of people only because it's more of acquaintances and people that maybe I haven't talked to in 5 years, and they're posting things that I just don't want to see. Yeah. So it's even people that I think that are posting things that I would at the core agree with. The way they are presenting it, I don't agree with, because it's turns out to be very
divisive.
Yes. And it's just like
polemical.
You're not doing anything to help the cause by trying to say that these people, the other people on the other side, are evil. And it's happening both ways, and I'm just like, I don't have time for it. It's not good for my life. And so instead of just getting rid of social media, I'm narrowing it down to the people I truly care about.
There you go.
And then that way, it's not more social media, but really just keeping in contact.
Who needs 3,000 friends on their Facebook account? I mean...
And I have about 3,000, so...
You do not.
I do.
Do you really?
Well, when you on campus, going to different places and stuff.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah, it's all these people that I just don't... I'm hardly on Facebook nowadays. I'm sure people have sent me messages, have friend requested, whatever. And I so rarely go to that platform. I should just delete my account. But every once in a while I need to stalk someone, so I keep it open for that purpose.
Or to do something for the parish.
Who is this person? I gotta go find them. Exactly. But it's just a sad state of affairs that at one point, at one time maybe we could have disagreed with people about how to go about various things. But it seems now that the political discourse has devolved into, well, it becomes a question of values. And we've spoken about this before, that in a world that is less and less spiritual and religious, politics becomes your religion. Party platform becomes your creed and your catechism. And it's just now a matter of proselytizing for the political party and twisting arms to get others to live according to your way of life, whether they accede to it or not.
Yeah, no, I think I've been a witness to long-term friendships being ended over social media, which is ridiculous.
It is kind of ridiculous.
Because there's no... For centuries, for all of mankind, people had different ideas, and they worked together, they lived together, they ate together.
It's the need for civility.
Yeah, even, when you look at, Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Justice Scalia. That they didn't really agree on much in terms of their workplace.
They probably didn't vote either. They were always on different sides of the spectrum.
But they were good friends. And that's how it should be, because politics should be, well, I believe that doing this economically is better for our country or keeps us a little bit safer or whatever it is. Well, I think it's this way. Okay, well, you're a really decent human person. You're a really decent human person. Let's put those aside and be decent together.
Exactly. I do understand where people are coming from sometimes, because you have such core values that the very things I believe about the human person. We were talking about those things that were kind of, the dignity of the human person, solidarity, subsidiarity, the common good. When you have very different opinions on those things, if those are the four pillars of Catholic social teaching, of Catholic social life, and you don't share the dignity of the human person with someone, like there's a totally warped sense of that, or if you disagree about what the common good even means, not even like what might be the common good, but that it's a majority or a most pleasure, least pain sort of situation or whatever. Or if you're not a proponent of subsidiarity and just believe that people are idiots and need to be governed from the top down, that's going to be you're going to have these very different, it forms your values, it changes your perspective, and it makes it very hard then to have a conversation with someone who completely and totally witnesses life from a different perspective.
Yeah, well, I guess our society has devolved so much so that it makes it difficult, where a lot of times it's not even about, should police kill an innocent person? Doesn't matter the race. Most people, I would say 99.9% of people would say no. Does not matter the race. However, then you include race into it, and then it starts devolving into other things where it's not, this policeman wasn't doing their job. It was something else, which who knows if or what or how race was involved or anything else, but that's what it devolves into.
We no longer have conversations about the things happening. We take the things happening and we raise them up our flagpole of issues.
Yeah.
So if I can pull an issue out of this thing without going into the thing and seeing what actually happened there, let me just take the optics of it and exploit those optics, well, then that's going to be problematic, because we never talk about the thing. If there are issues of systemic racism, then we need to talk about rather than talking about flashpoint moments that really might be related to, but don't get to what systemic racism is, or what the dignity of the human person is, or what justice really is, or what equality really means. We just stop having these conversations.
Right. And then what we're looking for are actually band-aids to, instead of going to the actual core of the issue, we're saying, well, defund the police, where then who knows, and there's different people don't even realize what that means.
What does that even mean? It's just a phrase that we're throwing out there.
So then you get to put a hashtag in front of it, and then everybody's for it, even though they don't know what they're fighting for. And
but it's on my side, and that's what our platform says, so I have to get behind it. And that's why I know in some states you can, their electronic voting systems, you can go in there, and one of the options is vote all Democrat, vote all, and you just push the one button, and it fills in your entire ballot for you according to your political party, and then it brings up the next issue. And I, while that may be convenient, I think it is grossly irresponsible because it teaches people not to think about the individual persons involved and not to take the time to really care about this, but really to push a platform and a values system that may or may not be good in all of its areas. A lot of times religion gets a bad rap for causing the wars of the world, that religion, people fight over religion, and so many battles have been over religion and this, that, and the other thing. But I think what we're certainly seeing now is that without religion, people take these value issues and decisions and they are fighting over them because they don't know how to dialogue about them, just like you were saying. There's an interesting question of what is the purpose of ecumenism? Ecumenism is the dialogue that takes place between the Catholic Church and other Christian religions, or interfaith dialogue between the Catholic Church and non-Christian religions. And there are some very traditional Catholics who would say ecumenism and interreligious dialogue are a waste of time because you're never going to convince those other people to accept the truth, and so unless they accept it wholeheartedly, you're just wasting your time. That the goal of ecumenism, the goal of interfaith dialogue, is to make the other person Catholic. Not really. Right. The goal is always to evangelize and to encourage people to embrace the faith and to know the truth and get that. But ecumenism and interfaith dialogue, what it does is it says we differ deeply on some value questions. How do we continue to live in the world together, having different value questions and not killing each other,
right,
because we disagree on something very fundamental? I mean, I'm not saying that these aren't important things. Very fundamental. How do we continue to create a world of peace and security and hope and justice and whatever alongside one another? So at the conversation without judgment comes into place. So it's like, I totally disagree with you, but because we're having this dialogue, at least I respect and love you as a person.
Right.
I may not be able to respect your opinions, and I may not be able to even like those opinions, or like you for that matter. But as a person, I see a value of taking the time and investing it in you.
Well, and it's the value of getting two people together, sitting in a room, and talking it out. Rarely does that, unless you have an agenda, that's going to end pretty amicably usually. And you might be yelling at each other and doing other things, but if you could have that discussion or argument where you are, because religion is so close to the heart that it's going to be somewhat personal, but like you said, just that dialogue of, okay, well, how do we do this?
How do we do this? I understand that I'm not going to necessarily change your mind. And that should not be our first goal. Our first goal is how do we live together without tearing each other or the world apart? How do we live together? And I think, we can boil that down to, certainly on the religious or the political spectrum, on the community stage, but even just in your own interpersonal relationships, in your families, like how do I deal sometimes with a situation that is exceptionally difficult, extremely difficult? How do we continue to live together and completely and totally disagree? Is it possible? I think it is. Mm-hmm. We may not be best of friends, because I think friendship is built on common values.
Yeah.
You have to share common values in order to have a friendship. And so while I might enjoy getting together with someone that I don't share values with occasionally for a spirited conversation, or just because we share likes, I don't know, a love of some hobby or recreation, but if it comes then to talking about value things, it's like, well, we may never be good friends, but we can be acquaintances, and our lives can cross one another's without, punching each other in the face.
It's okay for some relationships to remain somewhat surface level.
Yeah.
It's, you don't have to be best friends with everybody.
Right.
And if I get together with Joe to go play softball on Tuesdays, and that's something we enjoy doing together, great. That's my interactions with Joe.
Right. And I think to a point too, because people will ask, well, what about evangelization? Every moment is an opportunity to give witness to the truth, to evangelize, to share the good news, the faith, etc. That's absolutely true. But we always need to meet people where they're at. Mm-hmm. We talk about different stages of evangelization. Like there's a way over on the one side is building trust. Mm-hmm. We can't even begin to talk about having a relationship with Jesus Christ or his church if there isn't even trust that has been established. As opposed to, all the way of diving deep into the heart of the Lord and what he wants for us in salvation. That's a more advanced thing, and you just don't start there. The softball field is not a place to go deep. It's a place maybe to build a relationship, maybe some trust, to see that, you are this pro-life guy who supports marriage between a man and a woman, and that may be very different from me, a pro-choice guy who wants to do away with all gender distinction at all. And yet I can see that you are a good person and you hold those things to be true. Well, now it intrigues me. And you see that, well, I'm a good person too, and he holds these what I consider crazy ideas and notions, and maybe even immoral, but there's something good there, and you start to recognize the goodness in the other person.
Yeah, it really starts with treating the other person as a human.
If we say we respect the dignity of every human person, then we need to do that.
Yeah, that means even the ones we disagree with the most.
Exactly.
And that's anytime I've gotten anywhere with any kind of evangelization. At first, Jesus was hardly, if ever, brought up. Sure. It was more of getting to know the person, and it's like, oh, you happen to like people of the same gender. Okay. Still spend time with that person. Don't just be like, oh.
I'm scandalized. I don't know what to do.
And just love the person, because we're called to love people.
Yeah.
And that's just how we do things. And even spending time with that person, and if they have a partner where it's just like they invite you over for dinner or something, you're like, well, okay.
Sure.
They know where you stand.
Sure.
But what's more effective? Saying, well, I'm Catholic and I don't agree with the way you're living your life, or
I can't eat your spaghetti.
Yeah. Or going over, having dinner with them, and truly getting to know them. And then at some point, some way, they're going to be like, well, why do you think this way?
Or the conversation will just come up, and and even then it's not like, well, once we get to that conversation and minds aren't changed, then it's over. It's not about it. It's not about that. It's about, as Christians and as Catholics, we still represent a good portion of the United States of America. And if we really took to heart the commands of the Lord to love our neighbor as ourselves and to love our enemies, then things would be very, very different.
Oh my goodness.
I have to wonder how many people call themselves Christian and are not really Christian because they don't embrace some of the fundamentals of the gospel message. I'm not even talking about getting into the biomedical ethics or the, where do we stand on nuclear disarmament or environmental policies or, some of the niche or a little bit further from the center.
Right.
Looking at the very center of things, do I love you as a human being created in the image and likeness of God? And how am I demonstrating that?
Right. It's not just saying, oh, I love all people. It's how are you you have to live it out.
Yeah.
Being a Christian, being Catholic, isn't about what you say. It really is about how you live. It's not even about what you do.
Right.
Because you could do all the Catholic things and still be a terrible person.
Right. And I absolutely think too that you don't always have to wear it on your sleeve. That I don't need to, again, we have to always, as a communications major in college, one of the principles was always having an audience-centered approach. Mm-hmm. And my question always is, when I say something, when I do something, what is going to be the interpretation of the reaction of the other person? How do I put something out there that has a chance of getting in? Because if I put something out there knowing that it is going to immediately close someone up or shut someone down or cause them to run away, then I need to reevaluate that.
Doesn't matter what you say after that.
If I go over to a neighbor's house to celebrate the Sabbath with them because they've invited me over to their Sabbath celebration, and I wear my biggest cross around my neck, visibly showing, that might be a little insensitive and inappropriate. If I am going to with my friend to a Catholic Mass because I've never been there, and I wear my rainbow bandana tied around my neck, that may not be the best thing. And so the symbols that we use and what we put out, and it's not to say we have to be disingenuous or that you can't be yourself, but it means we have ways, without even knowing it, of punching other people in the face. And you may not even realize that you're doing that.
Yeah.
What am I posting on my social media? What am I liking or retweeting or putting out there that do I really need to put that? Is that news that someone's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that Jonathan was this or that or the other thing or believed this. How is that hurting or helping the cause? Mm-hmm. Like you were saying, there are people out there I agree with, but then the things they do, good Lord, that does not help the cause at all because that is just being a big old jerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't want to do that. So I guess it's just this call to a greater civility.
Yeah. Now I was talking to you the other day, just kind of probably to wrap this all up, because we don't need it. We don't want to be talking about these things, especially with the election coming up. It's just,
ad nauseum.
But we have that opportunity every day to cast our ballots as Catholics, as Christians, to say, this is how I live my life. This is my King. In every moment of every day, we do have those opportunities. Do we choose Jesus, or do we choose some other idol? Do we choose ourselves? Mm-hmm. And when you're encountering that person you don't agree with,
right?
Do you choose Jesus, or are you choosing that idol of
sin?
I want to hold on to this, and I want to show them. I want to wear that.
I want to win.
I want to win. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is a battle, and I got to win.
And that is how you become a saint: is casting that ballot for Jesus repeatedly.
Yes, the daily, hourly choice of choosing virtue, of choosing God. That is, I was thinking, I heard a podcast discussion recently, and it really got me thinking. I found it fascinating, and it's probably going to be part of my homily this weekend for All Saints Day.
Spoiler alert.
I know, spoiler alert. Many times I don't even know what I'm going to preach. But this is, and I still don't know what I'm going to preach, but it's, it's rumbling around in my head. But I want to talk it out just briefly here to close the show on that same note. That there was a question, and I think the Margaret Mead, I want to say, is the woman. And I really don't know her. She was, I think, a doctor. I'm not sure. But anyway, she was reported, like it's been reported that she had said, she had been asked a question, when do you believe, like what is the sign of civilization? What is the earliest sign of civilization? What factor do you point to? And in historical, the legend of her, the answer was a healed femur. A healed femur is the sign of civilization. That the major bone in your body, that if it were to break, would certainly cause death unless treated. And so when you look at that civilization, a people are civilized when you recognize that the weakest among them are taken care of by stronger individuals and not just left to die or cast off. That is a sign of civilization. And that really struck me that the most vulnerable, the weakest, the dying, that when those become the focus of the strong, that is a sign that we are no longer barbarians, but we are civilized. And I think there's something in there about what it means to be Christian, and that we are called not just to be civilized, but to be sanctified, and to take that one step further. So tune in to Mass on Sunday.
Whatever you do,
to hear where that is going to go.
To the least of my brothers, you do
Absolutely.
unto me. Jesus touched on it. So I mean that's
it's
wonderful.
a thing. Okay, Jonathan. Well, I didn't know what we were going to really talk about today, but I thought that was a good way to kind of wrap up the whole discussion on election and voting and public responsibility, and just the not be jerks to one another, and to spread God's goodness and His love and His truth far and wide. So we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.